Okay, so welcome back. This is part 2 of how to make custom firmware, and this is patching the VSH module files. So in the last video we went through what you need to do to set up, and we went through extracting the CoreOS files, the VSH module files, and the Explore category game XML. As I said, this is literally just to make basic standard custom firmware. CEX custom firmware, no frills firmware. My firmware contains a lot more patches and a lot more modded files and stuff, but as the series progresses, and if I do get a lot of people wanting me to extend the series, then I'll go into things like how to add the Cobra payload, how to update it, how to add various bits and pieces to the firmware. Okay, so let's carry on. Right, so first a bit of information. So the .self and .sprx files are the containers of the file after it's been encrypted or signed with the keys. The ELF or the PRX file is the file either before it's been encrypted or after it's been decrypted. So we need the PRX or the ELF files to patch, because we can't patch the SPRX files because it's encrypted, so there's no point. Okay, so you want to open up, come into your making custom firmware folder, open up SCE tool. Now this is the program that Sony uses to sign their files. So this is the program that we're going to use to decrypt their files. Okay, so there's an SCE tool list text document. You need these files on System 32. They will be on System 32 if you followed the README text document on how to set it up. And then you need to make sure that these files are inside this folder. If you have a problem and SCE tool's not working correctly, just contact me and I'll help you sort it out. So what you want to do is copy these VSH module files, and you want to paste them into SCE tool, and then you can close off the official firmware files. Okay, so first I'll show you how to manually decrypt a file. So let's say, for example, we want to decrypt the VSH self into a VSH ELF. So what we do is we type SCE tool -D for decrypt, and then the name of the file that we want to decrypt, and then space, and then the name of the file that we want to output. So it'll be SCE tool space -D space VSH self space VSH ELF, and then press enter, and as you can see over here, it's written into an ELF. So we've got the self file, which is encrypted, and then we've got the self, which is the ELF file, which is decrypted. Let's just go through it one more time. Let's do the NAS plugin. So let's say SCE tool space -D for decrypt, NAS underscore plugin .sprx, so that's the file that we want to decrypt, space, and then NAS underscore plugin .prx, so that's our output file. Press enter, and then as you can see, it's decrypted the SPRX file into a PRX file. So I'm just going to get rid of these. Okay, so I recommend just doing it all manually, because just go through each file, because you'll get a better understanding of how SCE tool works. Getting used to SCE tool is extremely important. Okay, so I've made this decryptall.exe, so if you just double tap that, that will decrypt all the SPRXs into PRX files and then delete the SPRXs. As I say, I'd recommend manually doing it and then just deleting the SPRXs yourself. So then what we want to do is open up another making custom firmware folder, and you want to open up patches for standard CEX custom firmware. So you've got the CoreOS patches and you've got the VSH module patches. I was going to add more patches, but I haven't at this time. But if I do show you how to do more stuff, I'll start to give you more patches that you'll need. Understanding the patch files, for every patch there's 2 numbers. In fact, I'll just actually show you. Okay, so you've got the name of the file that gets patched. I know it says .sprx, but it should be .prx really. So you've got the name of the file that you want to patch, you've got what the patch actually does, and then you've got the number that we search for and the number that we replace it with. Now it may not seem like it's not very explanatory the way you're just replacing one number with the next. But if you use IDA Pro and you look into the actual functions inside the file, you'll see that what you're doing is you're basically editing the function. So you may be changing the function so that it goes a different way. You may be knopping the function so that it doesn't run, or looping the function back to the beginning. You're doing whatever it is that is necessary in order to get that. So again, you know, like explore category game, that's the name of the file. Allow installation of unsigned apps, and then the top number is the number that you search for, and the bottom number is the number that you replace it with. As you can see, only this section here actually gets replaced. So only this section here gets replaced with this section here. But the reason I've got this extra section at the end and the extra section at the beginning is because you need to make sure that you patch in the right place. So there'll only be one instance of this combination in that file. Okay, so let's start off in order. Let's start off with the basic plugins. In fact, let me just close that down. So if you've installed HXD, which you should have done in the setup, open up HXD, drag the basic plugins into there. In fact, to tell you what we'll do, we'll drag them all over. Highlight them all. We'll drag them all in, and then we'll just mod them one by one. Okay, so first we've got the basic plugins. And we want to add red screen of death bypass into the basic plugins. So what we'll do is we'll copy this number, the first line. We'll find that, paste that into there, hex values, or direction all, and then click OK. And if you press F3, as you can see, it says can't find that number. So that's the only one instance in this file. So we know that we're at the right place. So what you want to do is you want to copy the second number, and then you want to right click on there and paste right. Don't paste insert, paste right, so it'll overwrite that number. Then we'll move on to the explore category game, and we search for this number. Paste. Okay, so there you go. If you press F3, you'll see it's the only instance. And then we copy the second number from underneath, which is the actual patch, and then we right click on the blue part that we've got highlighted and we paste right, so it overwrites it. We do the explore plugin, let's copy that, find, paste that into there. We still want to search for hex values and all. Press F3. As you can see, there's only the one instance, so then we replace that pattern with this pattern, and then we right click, paste right, don't forget. Then we'll go to the NAS plugin. NAS plugin is a little bit different because it's got 3 patches. So we've got allow debug packages, allow retail packages, and disable the ECDSA check. Paste. So again, if you press F3, you won't have to press F3 just because I know for a fact that all these patches that I've given you are correctly placed, but it's always good practice just to make sure, because you never know. But as I say, I can guarantee these are my search patterns that I've always used. So then we'll find. So we stay on the NAS plugin. As you can see, just can't find it again. Copy, and we'll paste right that. And then we'll do the last one, which is disabling the ECDSA check on packages. You can do that from the level 2. I think you can do it from the app loader as well, but I don't know, everyone patches it differently. I prefer it to do it from the NAS plugin. Right click, paste right. Okay, so the VSH is slightly different because if I just pull this up so I can get more of the VSH in. So the VSH.self, it's got 2 patches for React PSN, and these patches, they change, like the combination that you're searching for changes over time. Now you always replace it with the same thing, so the replace is always the same. But if you have a look here, see these 3 X's that I've put there, these 3 numbers change every firmware version, and the same for these 4 X's here. But I'll show you how we'll do that. So first we'll go through the VSH, and we'll just put the other patches in. So search for that and replace it with that. Search for this one, find, and then replace it with this patch. Okay, so we'll bypass these 2 React PSN ones for the time being, and I'll just show you, and I'll just go through the other ones. Okay, so this is to run unsigned apps. So this actually lets you run them. We patch the Explore game plugin to let us install them, and we patch the VSH to let us actually run them. Okay, replace that. Right, this is the PSP DRM check. I think that came in at 4.75. I think this came in at. So if you make firmware that's lower than 4.75, you don't need to. Oh, hang on. You don't need to add that patch. This is to disable the epilepsy warning message, so it starts. I have got a patch to disable the cold boot as well. So if you want to disable the cold boot and the epilepsy warning, just message me and I'll send you that patch. It just makes the PS3 boot really quick, so it doesn't bother with the cold boot and it doesn't bother with the warning message. It's quite good. It just makes the PS3 boot up really fast. Okay, so this will be the last one. Okay, so I'll show you these 2 React PSN patches now. Okay, so the way I do it is with the first one, if you search this string here, leave the 5 out because it needs to be even numbers. So if you search for this string here, okay, now with this one, you see that's the only instance of it, yeah. So we know that the numbers after are 5, 3, 3, 1. So up here, you'd replace those 3 X's with 5, 3, 3, 1. No, sorry, 3, 3, 1. So that it's 5. So that it's 5, 3, 3, 1. So then we'll copy this. Search, find, paste. Okay, and then press F3 just to make sure we've got the right one. And then we'll replace it with the NOP. Oh, hang on. Right click, paste right. So this next one, the next one down is slightly different. So I don't know if you wanted to. You could put a little note next to it. So you could say that's 480. So then, if I just paste another version of that. So then you can actually put the 3 X's back in. So you know then for the next firmware version you've got to search this. I mean, it might be the same. It's been the same since about 470 something, but every so often it does change. So you just need to be aware that these 2 patches, they do change. I found in 476 or 478, I think it was, with my DEX firmware, if I use these same React PSN patches, you couldn't disable your you couldn't disable your or deactivate your console. Big up to Pete Platt who actually informed me about that, so I had to look into it. But anyway, so and then like if you find that 4.90 comes out and then this combo is 661, then you can add a little dash 4.90 so that each version is each version. But that's the combination for 480. So with the second React PSN patch, you want to search everything before the X's. So you want to copy that, and then you want to go search, find, paste. Okay, now with this, there's going to be more than one instance of this search combination, but with this search combination, it's always the first one. So if you hold Shift and press F3, it goes backwards. So as you can see here, the combination is this number here, and then the four mystery numbers, and then a NOP. So as you can see here, these four numbers here, and then there's a NOP there. So if we go to the next one, oh, hang on. So if we go to the next one over here, as you can see, these are the four numbers, but there's no 60 million NOP. So it's not that one. It's not going to be that one because there's no 60 million NOP. It's not going to be that one. It's not going to be that one. Okay, there you go. As I say, it always ends up being the first one, but you just want to double check just to make sure. So in the case of 480, it's going to be A409. So we're going to replace these four X's with A409, and then just pull that out a bit. So again, that's going to be for version 4.80. So then what we'll do is we'll copy that. Search, find, right click, paste, and then that should be the only instance. Yep. And then we replace it with our patch. Oh, right click, paste. Right, so all these have been patched. In fact, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll save these text documents with the... No, I won't actually. I'll leave it with the X's and then let you edit them. Don't save. Right, okay, so if you, once you've patched all the VSH module files, if you close it with the red cross, save changes, yes, 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 yes. Okay. So what you want to do is you'll get these back files, which are the original versions. So this is the version that we've just modded, and this is the back version. So just delete off the back versions, because we're not going to need those. Okay, now what you want to do is, on your making custom firmware where you're in your patches, you want to go to, where are we? File sign-ins for SCE tool. You've got the CoreOS sign-ins, so I've put the sign-ins for each one, and put the sign-ins for the VSH module. Now what the signature basically does is, so if you open up the command exe, you see we've got the PRX files here, so we need to re-sign them with the encryption that's going to work on 355 official firmware or custom firmware. So we need to sign them correctly. So what you'll do is, if you double click the, so let's say the basic plugins, so this is the signature for the basic plugins. So if you right click, select all, right click copy, and then paste that into SCE tool, as you can see, this is the signature of the file. If you then press enter, as you can see, file compressed, file encrypted, basic plugins SPRX written. So now we've got the PRX that we modded, but we've got the modded SPRX file. So if we close that down, open up the category game, select all, copy, paste that into there, press enter. Okay, so now then that's encrypted the category game. The only thing that changes with these signatures is the firmware version. So as you can see, this is 4.80. So say if 4.90 comes out, you'll change the 80 to 90. Everything else is the exact same signature, you just change the actual version. So let's close that off. Let's do the explore. I think the video's lagging on a bit now. Paste. Okay, so basically you want to go through all your file sign-ins, copy, paste. Yep. VSH, this is the last one. Copy, paste into there, press enter. Right, okay, so that signed all the files, so you can close this folder down, close SCE tool, command exe. Okay, so So we've got our signed custom firmware VSH module files. So if we open up the custom firmware files and VSH, so we want to highlight the .sprx files, leave the PRX files and the VSH.self, and we want to drag them into custom firmware files. So these are our modded files, and then we've got the PRXs left over. If you just double click on the clean folder exe, and it will delete them for you. Nice, it's good to keep everything nice and tidy. There is this resign VSH module.exe, so if you double click this, it'll actually sign all the files for you, but I recommend doing it manually so that you get used to it. It makes more sense for me. Okay, so we've got our modified custom firmware VSH module. So what we're going to do in the next video is we're going to mod our core OS. So I'm going to show you how to mod the core OS. It's going to be the same procedure as the VSH, but obviously it's going to be different patches and it's going to be different file signatures.